And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Ninja DC, joining again for another podcast reaction. This time for, I don't know why I say this time, like, we're doing React again. I miss React days, honestly. Curse you, Content ID.
We will return someday once we find the show. Someday.
It's not just a show. It's like I said, Content ID is what just makes it where I spend more time editing and uploading, than actually reacting because it's such a pain in the butt to work with it. Some people make it work. I think they just have enough connections where they can get it waived. But yeah, I do not have this connection.
I think it's just mainly about content, making sure their stuff doesn't get shown to a certain country which their work is from.
No, this is before Japan. Even though they added the special thing, we're gonna not show your content in Japan now as a specific feature. I've noticed. But I guess going around this time, Carlos, I guess you can go first since you might be leaving soon.
Oh, well, hello there. This is Gunmetal Gator here, just telling you all, will you look at that? A lot of animation stuff has been popping off this year. And it just keeps on coming, and it just don't stop running, and it just keep coming, and it don't stop running, and it just keep coming, and it don't stop running. Everyone, just chill out.
Here.
All right. Is that all for you?
Yeah.
All right, and Day in second.
Second Day here. Your critic first, fan second, and your Fountain of Joy first and Fountain of Joy second.
Yeah. Daylover.
So, we're ready to talk about a lot of geek stuff. Strap in.
Let's go.
All right. But I guess starting with the new stuff, I think I might have mentioned this before. There's this more development. Is Elon Musk bid to buy Twitter is still ongoing, and now he has a cash, and they are reviewing the acquisition offer seriously this time, which to give stock example, they sort of have to at least review it, because if they just reject the offer outright, then the shareholders can sue them for not taking their interest in regard. So they're sort of forced to at least review it.
Yeah, I miss when good King Bill Gates was the richest man in the world. Now we have Dr. Lex Luthor Evil and the middle school sci-fi geek with developmental issues at 50-something who happens to be a genius.
And a mouse on top of all of it.
Well, yeah, but that's a little broader.
Well.
Yeah, no, I think because I know they said Elon is now the richest man, and I know that's just because Tesla's doing well and skyrocket, but I also think that's just because both Bill Gates and Bezos are going through divorces right now. So I think that's because I know Bezos was the richest man, at least including his stock value for a while, but I think I don't see anyone mentioning that, but I think that is why Bezos isn't the richest man right now over Elon Musk. I think that both of them were a little ahead of Bill Gates for a while, so I understand me more than that, but I think that's why Bezos isn't the contender anymore.
Apparently it's only going to go up for Elon. His company's heating up and stuff, and I can't believe I'm saying this for a guy who has hundreds of billions, but Bill Gates doesn't seem as interested in growing his personal wealth as these guys do. In fact, he might be
the
one thing he might be sliding behind the curve with his how much more he's interested in doing at his age.
Well, there's the one thing with Bill Gates that's sort of concerning is he's buying a lot of farmland, and it's sort of concerning how much he's owning. He's the largest farm owner in America right now. And yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but basically not really a bank, but a person owning that much land, and that's
what could he be planning?
He's going to build a lot of restaurants.
Who even knows? Yeah.
But that's Twitter things going on, which shall be. It's an interesting development to say the least, at the very least. But yeah, I do sort of get why Elon is going after Twitter, because people are like, oh, why doesn't he just make his own social media thing? But that takes years and lots of luck and billions of dollars. So like, it might cost him like around $50 billion to buy Twitter. But if he wants to get his own media platform, say what you want about Twitter, it's still around.
Yeah, you have to be good at building a media platform, not just at having money. It would be easier for him to buy the one that already exists.
And also the one that's sort of neutral-ish. I mean, like, there's not really a major buyer. Like, Facebook is its own giant entity right now.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe you should have a talk with Eli.
Because when it really comes to media, like social media, I would say there's sort of three big things, at least politically and just sort of culturally. I could say, some would say TikTok's there now, but I don't know if it'll last. But there's like basically Facebook, Twitter, and then YouTube are like the three
and
really
Instagram
big.
to a certain extent.
What was the other one?
Instagram.
But they're owned by Facebook.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Interesting.
So yeah, that's what I say. Those are sort of the three big ones, and him just buying that is like sort of is the easiest way to sort of get to that big social media level. And honestly, it would probably be like, regardless of politics and all that, he probably will boost Twitter stock. Just because, like, say what you want about Elon, he is a pretty good businessman.
It would seem, yeah. It'd be kind of hard to get where he is if you weren't.
But yeah, moving on to other things, actually more controversial sort of news. Actually, no, let's do that. Just general good. Sonic and the bad guys are sort of been released, and they're doing well in the box offices. So, hooray for animation!
DreamWorks is back.
Let me see. Which I have seen both of them, and I enjoyed both of them too.
No.
Which I guess, yeah, I forgot what I've been up.
Sonic and DreamWorks. What in DreamWorks?
No, Sonic is,
Sonic is Sony.
No, it's like Paramount.
No, I mean,
or
the two movies you said. You said Bad Guys and what else?
Sonic 2.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Sonic 2. Yeah. Like seriously, the hype for Sonic 3 is just going to be too much now for people. I mean, especially since it's over been 20 years since the introduction of this particular character.
Yeah. And now Jim Carrey's saying he might want to, loosely retire from movies, so we might not have him back as Robotnik.
Let me see. I just want to make sure I did get the company who did it right. Is directed by. Yeah, it is Paramount. All right, I did get that right. That was a Paramount one. They're doing extremely well. Bad Guys seem to be doing pretty well. And I guess another news thing I forgot to bring up. It's like sort of good news. Is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is getting its release date changed. Is now releasing in summer instead of fall.
Oh.
It had an delay.
Okay. I mean that's a bit of probably one of your best prolific franchises, Nintendo. I mean, I just hope the game's really good and completed, and hopefully it's agreeable for the original Xenoblade 1 crowd, and hopefully with the newer Xenoblade 2 crowd. But like all of them to come together and say, like, this is united front. This is not like a segregated community. And let's not forget about the Xenoblade Chronicles X people, which hardly exist because, oh my god. I know 2 would have a crowd. Oh, and not just that, just grunge and like sort of like a MOBA feel. Like just being like, okay, we're just going to be mechs flying off in the sky. Just doing stuff. it's a weird thing when Xenoblade Chronicles like game titles feature like the first game, which is considered to be one of the most legendary games of all time, that had like a hard legacy of like even being come to be made in the first place. Then we get Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is just like Wii U needed some sort of like spin-off game. We couldn't call it Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because that would ruin our franchise. So let's just call it Xenoblade Chronicles X. Then Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was just like, hey, let's appeal to anime fans. I think anime fans will like this. But now with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it's like, hey, anime fans, here's some legendary storytelling for you. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because like I'm just a big stan for Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Like, I mean, I bought the game. I have the Shulk amiibo. Like, I watched the entirety of the Trigger Conroy playthrough of that game.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally one of those stories in which it's like nothing. Like it felt like all the feelings I got from Mystery Dungeon, but actually done in a mature JRPG. Like, thank you. Thank you for involving like time vision powers, like in a thing that does not involve time travel. Well, yeah, it's pretty great to see it.
But yeah, you're a stand for 1. I'm a big stand for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I think it should be good. Because from I heard rumors, there are even rumors about like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 like releasing in spring or something like fall of last year. So I'm thinking it was pretty well done, and like they just decided like, well, it's going to be done even ahead of schedule because Monolith Soft, like the people who do it, like they're pretty productive. I think that's partially just because they're not as like what's the word I'm looking for, like perfectionist. I could say like Xenoblade, just like why can they get like people ask how they can get it done so fast. Look how the characters jump in Xenoblade. It's not like the most like realistic or something like that, but it doesn't need to be. It just gets the job done. That's just but yeah, I look forward to it. I hope I'm trying to actually still look and see if there's going to be a collector's edition available for pre-order. But yeah, I look forward to that. And oh yeah, the one funny thing with that is I was going to be like after finishing Horizon Zero Dawn and then finally finishing Persona 5 Royal, which just end on that, I will say the third semester is the best semester.
Yeah.
And then I'm moving on to Elden Ring. I was hoping to get a little break in the summer where I'm not working on a giant open world RPG, and then Xenoblade comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, where it's like I'm happy, but also like dang it.
I gotcha.
But I guess this moves on to newer stuff, and I guess also what I've been up to. I finished Persona 5. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I also finished Odd Taxi, which I will say is a great series. And yeah, that's the main thing up. Besides, I've been finishing Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, it's definitely a good show to like suggest to you. Second, I think you would really appreciate like the Tarantino dialogue in Odd Taxi. Yeah.
So wait, what? Say the title to me again.
Odd Taxi.
There's a lot of things called Taxi.
Yeah, like just look for the one where you see a walrus driving a taxi. It's very hard to miss.
Yeah, it's on Crunchyroll, and you can watch it as of now, like for free. You just have to watch with ads, unless you have a paid subscription to Crunchyroll. And they have a dub and a sub available.
Okay. Yeah. Taxi noted.
Odd Taxi. Odd Taxi.
Odd Taxi. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess on that note, yeah, anime, we finished our Isao Takahata kick. I finally saw Grave of the Fireflies for the first time. can't believe it took me so long because I've owned the DVD for about somewhere between 5 and 10 years now, and I'm trying to cross stuff off my list, like DVDs I bought and stuff I could only see for free for a short period of time. Never got to that one, and now I did. Now my heart's been properly cut out, so
Aw.
thumbs up.
Wait, you didn't watch it with Day?
No,
Yes,
I did. Day has now seen Grave of the Fireflies 5 times.
Yes.
Oh,
She has
oh.
holy capacity,
Oh,
Batman.
your soul.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a limit
I
to
mean, there have been
heartbreak.
one or two things that like moved me to tears, but this, ever since I was like 11, is the first one since then I could, remember making me get there just kind of because I was sad. Like, that is painful. And apparently, there's, like, on the outskirts, there's a pushback because the original story was, the guy, it's really easy to spoil this movie because it gives you the first thing and the first twist in the first 30 seconds. But apparently the original story the guy wrote is very self-blaming and very deprecating, but not in a humorous sense. But simply put, the people saying, "Oh yeah," as opposed to this movie that's just a tearjerker. I'm like, okay, sorry, but that's just not the movie Takahata made here. He was, after some very particular targets. He says that war itself was not one of them because he thought that could be turned back on him with, all of this bad stuff happening to the characters is why we do need to go to war and stop the other country. And I'm like, look, this wouldn't be happening without a war, and I'm on the country that, is supposed to have liked what happened in this conflict, and I think this is the saddest thing ever. So, I think war comes out of this movie looking pretty darn bad, I gotta say. But, also his thing about, culture and just, locking people out and not, cutting themselves off, no earnest connections and such like that. That was more his intention. It's pretty good on that level as well, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just, I mean, like, for a while, for most of it, I actually didn't quite think I was going to be putting it with Studio Ghibli's, like, great movies, truly great ones, but just because, as opposed to a lot of their finest works, which are very layered experiences, Grave of the Fireflies is more singular, even if it has a lot of, even if it knows just what its target is and has a lot of, varied ways of, building that point, striking that same nerve. Like, it was only, in the very last couple of scenes that I started, fully realized just how deep it cuts. Like, the last thing he says is just an update on what he did next, but it comes across as so honest to God dead inside that it was, I swear, still ringing in my ears for the next couple days.
Mm-hmm.
So, Grave of the Fireflies, big experience. It's that, and we've also been catching up on our Netflix shows, or not Netflix, our Marvel MCU shows, but the ones that used to be on Netflix and the newer ones. Got up through Hawkeye and the newer ones. We're trying to go in order when stuff came out, so we got through the first season of Luke Cage on Netflix, and I don't know. Hawkeye is probably the lightest of the bunch so far, but I think you need one of those in there. That was a really good time, and
like, are you planning on going for Jessica Jones next, or
You already watched season 1?
Oh,
the first season of Jessica Jones came out before the first season of Luke Cage. So, what it was, what we saw.
What were you going to say?
Well, we saw all of Daredevil, and then the Defenders, and then we're like, I guess they really interconnected these. Maybe we should go in order. So, or go back at least and try to go in order. So we saw season 1 of Jessica Jones, and now we're watching season 1 of Luke Cage. And yeah, the Netflix shows were a lot more brutal. I see why these were the Netflix shows and not the Disney's next big event in the MCU.
And then the one you're missing before the Punisher spinoff, season 1 and 2. Iron Fist. It's literally what's next on the chopping block, man.
I think I'm just going to pass on that one. I don't know what Dave's going to say here, but I mean, we saw him in The Defenders and he was fine. I don't know if he was so good that it's worth watching the one Netflix show that they said is not meh, just bad, just weak. Just plain not worth it, or at least that seems to have been at least for season 1, that was the MO. Season 2 seems to have gotten it's an improvement reaction just enough for me to be like, okay, maybe I'll at least check it out, skim it.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of had to try to get through Iron Fist season 1 3 times before I actually finished it.
So, okay, what's its biggest problem?
Imagine like in the story of a martial artist, and you're literally given Marvel's version of Batman. Except for in this case, it's just a martial artist who acts so hippy-dippy, and he's dealing with like a comedical sitcomish evil family of CEOs who have taken over his company.
Okay, so if Batman was more had to do his fighting as Bruce Wayne, and honestly, the hippie part isn't even what scares me here. I kind of like some hippie philosophy, as long as it's not, get high and pretend that makes you insightful.
I'm just saying like hippie vibe, like the traditional lax martial artist mentality. I just only describe it as hippie because he's not really like the type of person I would say is like, you don't really strike me as a martial artist for the actor.
Okay.
And then
in The Defenders, he was played as somebody like that good student who passed all the tests, but is nevertheless more of a hot-headed, enterprising sort of a kid than he is someone who was honestly born to live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or does season 1 Iron Fist even give you something that concrete, or
no. What they did at the end of season 2 was probably the best move that they could have ever done with Iron Fist.
What, kill him?
No.
Oh, no.
No, something even better.
Okay.
Something even better than even ending him.
Interesting. Well, maybe we'll see season 2 then, but from now we got the 3 seasons of Daredevil, which season 1 and 3 awesome, season 2 starts out awesome, and solid. You want to see it, you want to see what happens, but holy heck, is it narratively dense, and does it ever remind me of that comic book doubling back, tripling back on the twists and the runarounds and the reversals and the ooh, isn't that such a, I don't even know, I want to say something other than the Shyamalan, what a twist, but just isn't that complex writing? So season 2, Jessica Jones, impossible to put down, but I mean, I won't lie, I felt like it got a little tedious along the way at points. It seemed like it went out of its way not to solve the Killmonger problem a couple of times. And Luke Cage so far. I mean, I am the wrong guy to, go to for the take on this, but it seemed like Luke Cage walked so that, Black Panther and Falcon and Winter Soldier could run. Although, in this case, it's even, like, more explicitly tied to, things in America that go into the history of all this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Also, Luke is almost played as, like, some, black folklore, hero, like, a folklore hero or something like that, more than he is a superhero. I mean, the towering Luke Cage roamed the streets while while old Cottonmouth sat in his lounge and crossed his hands, and it almost sounds like a pulp novel or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Somebody put me on a YouTube channel with enough views to rival a good chunk of the videos I've been in, and I didn't even know about it because it's me doing martial arts against other people.
Yeah.
Who I guess is this person's students, so what can I say?
All right.
I give you a link, but you don't care, so moving on.
Moving on to the other news stories, which I have to go through before we move into the main topic. Which other like sort of news thing is, Disney is in a fight with Florida and is about to lose their special privileges or potentially lose them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which seems like it's poised to backfire on, the people imposing the sanctions, even the word for them. But they're about to make the taxes on the citizens go up, and I think that you're gonna hurt a lot sooner than Disney does from that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, well, first of all, it might not go through because there's special reasons for it to go through, but also, like, I believe it's more of a short-term loss in a big-term game. Like, if they do this, because Disney doesn't want it to happen for a reason. So, like in the short term, they'll be paying more, but overall, long term, they'll be getting more in taxes because it's Disney World. It literally prints billions of dollars of money.
Yep.
So the main thing that will hurt Disney is that they actually have to, if this does pass through, is that they'll actually have to regulate. The county will regulate them and not them regulating themselves. So like in terms of inspections and like getting stuff approved, that's how like a lot for theme park stuff, you can sort of figure out what's going to happen beforehand because they have to submit applications for stuff to build. But Disney is able to sneak things through more just because they literally own they're their own little mini government.
Yeah, them getting monitored a little more is not in and of itself a bad thing. The reasons for which it seems to have been done, I am very much not impressed, and it's the latest in a long line of things that will have me shedding no tears if this all goes belly up on the current lawmakers in Florida and get them kicked to the curb.
Well, I think it probably won't, just because, like, not just to go. Some people are like, "Oh, Disney will just leave Florida." Yeah, that's not going to happen. Like,
anytime soon.
People underestimate it as a whole how much money the Disney like resort stuff makes Disney. Like, It was a majority of the revenue that Disney company makes is from their theme parks, by a lot. Like, it is like the moneymaker of their entire company. That's why the pandemic hit them really hard, because all of their theme parks were closed for a big chunk of time. And that's why Disney sort of went scary freak out mode so fast, because their main revenue stream went out, and then they also before that spent a whole bunch of money buying Fox, so they had no like reserve cash. But yeah, like people think like, oh, Disney will leave Florida. Like, it's like, where would they move to? The only other state that would offer a year-round operation for like theme park is Texas. They're not gonna move they're not gonna move Disney World to New York. It's too cold.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it would probably take more than this, but yeah, I have a feeling that the people in Florida want that even less than Disney does. So, I could see a reality in which somebody pushes that notion just as a sort of brinksmanship for like, okay, we threatened to do it, your move.
Well, the thing is, it's also like it is people getting defensive about it just because all this would really do is basically put Disney on even footing with Universal and other parks that have the similar regulation and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's going to be like particularly. It's more or less getting rid of it's basically getting rid of the advantage that Disney had. That's really all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because as people say, like they basically they really could if they wanted to make their own nuclear power plant. And regulate it themselves. That's how much power they do have.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to other stuff is let's sort of going into the main topic is Netflix is sort of having a big stock crisis right now, and besides their stock value like dropping, I think it dropped a third more or less overnight, following like it losing subscribers. They also are already cutting back in some of their projects, particularly animation division is being hit hard. So a lot of projects are being canceled, including Lauren Foss's next animated project is now no longer in production.
Yeah, she cannot seem to catch a break. So many of her projects go belly up.
The one thing I say is like she technically still has like rights to this thing, just not whatever like she wrote for like the Netflix version, if that makes sense. So she still like owns the characters and all that. So she can actually take it to someone else theoretically. It's not like it's trapped in Netflix.
Yeah.
So there's some good news there. But that sort of brings us to the main topic, which is going to be, it seems potentially with this Netflix thing and other stock around it is like, the potential streaming bubble might have burst. Because Disney stock is also down very bad too, which that has a whole bunch of different things going in right now. Not just like I said, we mentioned the Florida thing, but there's also people upset about the prices of Disney World. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. But part of what Disney's stock going down is probably also connected to their streaming service, which isn't really as I recall, it's not losing subscribers, but it's not getting as much as they wanted. And other streaming services are having stock issues too, along with Netflix. So that brings to the main subject is like, the streaming bubble might have burst. So what do y'all think about?
That's actually that could be a really good idea for Disney to make like a live stream where you could like follow people on rides and getting food and stuff like that. I'm just thinking about like people that are not able to come out or are afraid. So you could like be like, oh, I give, I don't know, $5 or something to watch this, and then they could watch somebody go and do the things. I don't know.
Okay, it looks like some news broke in the middle of us having this. Twitter has accepted Elon Musk's offer to buy it and take over.
So now we're monitored of Elon Musk instead of Twitter, which is nice.
Really. Guy seems like he's still, has all the developmental skills of the, kid who would honestly consider the sci-fi movie he's trying to make a reality deep.
Well, it could always be worse.
This feels weird. Like actual Lex Luthor happening now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be interested to see what happens because, like I said, the repercussions on this ownership will probably take a few months to really kick in. But there are probably going to be potential changes to it, not just political ones like less censoring and blah blah blah, but in general, the structure of Twitter is probably going to change. But in terms of like like the character limit, like how they do the blue check mark, there'll be a lot of the structural changes. That'll be interesting to see how they roll out. Because that's the one thing that's definitely already going to happen is like, yeah, the way they do the blue check system, which is already sort of stupid. Because originally it was just basically the blue check idea was like, hey, I'm officially this X person that's very publicly known for like influencer or whatever, and that's what it signifies is I'm not a clone account. I'm the official one. But now it's basically you have to get approved and like as a representative of Twitter, which basically means very liberal leaning usually. Yeah, so yeah, it's a weird thing, which is not what its original purpose was, which is basically just to show that you're the real person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and Carlos has left the chat, and Carlos has joined the chat.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So, I guess, what was the conversation topic while I wasn't here?
Just going over like, yeah, there'll probably be changes to Twitter, but we won't really see them for like a few months. I was just saying like stuff like the blue check system will probably be fixed around. I think Musk was talking about basically making, because there is technically, even though no one uses it, a subscription service for Twitter where you get like some extra features and lack of ads. Where I think Musk was talking about making that where if you do the subscription, you automatically get basically the equivalent of blue check instead of its current system, which was like it was supposed to be basically for public officials and stuff like that to say I'm the official real person, not a clone account. But it's sort of become a political thing where it's like Twitter has to only like select approved people are approved for blue checks. Which is why it's sort of, if you hear people talking about blue check memes, it's like a meme sort of thing. So how that's going to work is probably going to change. I can tell you that. And I'll also say probably in general, the subscription side of Twitter is probably going to be tweaked. Which, yeah, how many of you actually even knew that there's a subscription side to Twitter?
Not me. Not me.
Not me.
I think I heard somebody bring it up before in the storm of all this, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's my point. So he'll probably change that so it will be better service, or at least well more known. But yeah, that's exactly my point. It's like, yeah, it exists and no one really uses it.
Mm-hmm. Don't know if I want a Twitter subscription service, come to think of it.
I don't know either.
Well, I guess we'll find out because odds are he's going to do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess also going back to the streaming bubble burst, do you think we finally have reached the point where like the bubble has burst for streaming services? Like it's peaked and sort of is going down?
Well,
I don't know about like it going down, but I'm saying like Netflix is certainly like starting to like lose favor with people with like trying to bring commercials in their programming now.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, yeah, we're still at the part where they have to fight for dominance over which one is the biggest and most popular. So now that like, you know, even if the tide that is raising all ships has ended.
Well, I think what happened is partially because everyone is talking about in general, there's possibly a streaming bubble going to burst because everyone's doing it sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I think the pandemic sort of increased that rate that would happen because it artificially inflated the number of people subscribing for subscription services because everyone was literally trapped inside for the start of the pandemic. Of course, Netflix and everyone's going to be doing well then because, like, what else are you going to do? Play video games? So I think that artificially inflated them and sort of caused the bubble to reach its peak and burst, I think, sooner than it would have if this pandemic never happened. Because to be clear, like, when I say a bubble burst, it doesn't mean, like, the market is completely dead. Look at, like, the dot-com bubble that happened. Like, yeah, a lot of companies crashed, but we spoilers still use the internet. So it just means like a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? Investor, what's the word? Spectator market. Yeah, that's the word I'm going. There's like a spectator market of like in terms of like the streaming services. It's basically, hey, this is its peak in terms of like subscribers and all that. So once a peak has been established, like there's basically the idea behind spectators market is like, oh, this is going to go on to infinity when it comes to like economy and stock. So when eventually reach a peak where they can't really grow anymore in terms of subscriptions, that's why the stock crashed so fast, because like, oh, we can't, like basically it's been rounded in. Yeah, I'm not really describing it well, but I think my point is I think we basically peaked with the pandemic increasing it fast, and now that that's sort of peaked in subscribers for a while, the whole stocks are going to go down because the potential is not as limitless as it was before.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Because the stock market is weird. The stock market is more about like potential future more than current profit. That's what really describes like a lot of the markets it's like basically potential like growth is really what drives like the stock market. So when these like services basically peak out for at least for a while, that's where they lose that potential and like lose a lot of their value quickly. Like Netflix literally lost like a third of its value like almost overnight. When it only like I think only lost like 200,000 subscribers compared to their like over 100 million. I think several hundred million if include all their global numbers. But yeah, that's why it was such partially a sharp drop, because like the limitless potential became more limited. So yeah, I think the bubble burst, but I don't think it's dead. But I think we might see I think we won't see a whole bunch of more new streaming services, and I think the ones we have are going to start to be more penny pinching in terms of trying to get as more money from their current subscribers. So I wouldn't be surprised in terms of like not just Netflix, but a whole bunch of other subscribers are probably going to be increasing their prices, limiting the budgets of their shows, and probably also introducing more ad and other alternative revenue streams into their streaming services. Like Carlos mentioned, like Netflix was considering doing advertisements as too, which they're the last holdouts of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess time will tell, but this is certainly not a good sign for them. And yeah, let's face it, we've been saying for a while now that we've been saturated in streaming services. It's a little much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then, yeah, Crunchyroll is also like, that's one we, like, yeah, before Funimation's actually consolidating that, not Funimation, Sony's actually consolidating their streaming services down. Because Funimation is now becoming Crunchyroll dub. And in terms of an update, yeah, I think the president of Crunchyroll stepped down, and then a Funimation person is stepping in that role. So what I said before about like if Crunchyroll ate Funimation or Funimation ate Crunchyroll, it does seem to be that Funimation is the one in charge, or at least a lot of their people are going to be more in charge of the Crunchyroll service.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little update I forgot to mention. But yeah, this is sort of a shorter main topic than I thought, but also we got interrupted by the whole Twitter. That sort of became the bigger topic.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait for people to fight about this. My prediction is that, the main concern is that he's going to unban a couple of numbskulls and get, artificially criticized for it. And then the two usual sides on this are going to keep doing exactly what they're doing. Censoring my free speech by using my free speech to criticize you. And it's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, what'll be interesting is, because I said there will be changes, and I'm talking like non-political changes, like you could say censoring or not censoring stuff, letting let's just say be blunt, like letting Trump back on, that would be political moves, but there are also a lot of just general structural moves that could be changed that could really evolve Twitter. Like handling how Twitter's structure as a social media platform, it just naturally creates a lot of echo chambers because it really is about basically getting in sort of a certain clique, and those people, it's sort of like gets you in that fold. So I wonder if they'll change like its algorithm more where it's less like echo chambery or not.
Well, I mean, granted, we've been talking about some of the changes that could help it a little structurally, but I mean, there is a level on which you want to be careful about messing with the formula that's brought you success, because I mean, yeah, it is a simple concept, get something going that turns a lot of heads in, what is it, 100 words or less, or whatever it is, and yeah, like, flipping that up too much, I mean, I don't know. Ask me the story of what happened to Rack's roast beef sometime. It's, you got to be careful how much you complicate things.
Yep. Like I said, I don't think they're doing much, but I could just see like a lot of the structural changes to sort of improve and alter it. Like I said, the blue check system, I guarantee that's the one thing I know that's going to change. Like, I'm not surprised at all. Like, that's the one thing I know is going to target, and he's also going to, in that regard, change the subscription service. Maybe actually make it so where people want to use it. And yeah, the other things like in terms of other future things, like I could potentially see down the road Elon sort of trying to add more TikTok like video features more to Twitter. We're not to trying to make Twitter like YouTube, but more focus more on the video aspect and trying to do like short video clips, which could be a potential like TikTok like competition.
The big social media measuring contest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because things are going to be interesting. That's the one thing I can say confidently. Like, yeah, things will be interesting. Like, if this, like, they accepted the offer, let's see if it goes through and all the because with a lot of these big business deals, like, it's not over until the end. So, but yeah, we'll see if it goes through all the way. But if it does, I can say with confidence, yeah, things are going to be interesting. But I guess as I said, any other things before we head off?
Yeah, I think I went over what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's not really much I can contribute to this conversation about streaming services, even though I use them, like, because you say the bare minimum about like what is necessary to understand about the economy and such, about what's going on with these current services here. And hopefully we might be able to like fine tune like which ones will be like the big suppliers for like the media, and hopefully we don't get like monopolies and such for like a lot of them, you know, just to still provide healthy competition against each other.
Yeah, but that's going back to what I said. Like, that's part of the reason I feel like Elon is buying Twitter is just because, like, yeah, the competition, like, in terms of social media is so fierce and, like, the failure rate is so high. Even if you have the money and, like, even, like, infrastructure to try to make a social network, like, look at Google Plus, how that went. So yeah, so like it's a very hard competition market, and that's why I feel Twitter just sort of made the easy target because it was of the big social media things, it was like the most cheap and isolated because Facebook it's huge monolith with other companies under it like Instagram, and then there's Google who owns YouTube, who is fighting with Apple in terms of being the most valuable company on earth. So Twitter is sort of the easy target for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I'm old now, there is also TikTok, but it's still too young to say if like how long TikTok will stick around. Like Snapchat is still around, but people have sort of lost interest in that.
Ugh, I forgot all about that.
But definitely you should think about making the TikTok competition. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I could see something like that happen because I feel he will try to, in the same way that like Facebook is trying to evolve away from just being Facebook. I do feel like with Twitter, Elon Musk will try to add more media features to it to grow the company. I don't know what exactly that is yet because I feel the main thing he's going to do now is structural things and all that. So I don't think we'll see big like media changes for like at least a year or so. But yeah, Twitter. So yeah, things are going to be getting interesting. So I guess see y'all next time.
Till then.
Bye.